He wakes to another day, feeling like he's walking through a world against him. The same grey light leaks through the curtains, echoing the dull weight pressing against his chest. He dresses silently, each movement mechanical, as if his body remembers hope, but his mind has long abandoned it. At the office, the air tastes colder than the endless coffee they offer, filled with whispers of others' small victories, none of them his. He watches his co-workers rise, many undeserving, propped up by favors and smiles that mask knife-ready hands. His efforts dissolve into invisible ink on unremarkable reports and ignored emails. A quiet frustration builds, unknowable but constant, like a shadow in the room's corner that refuses to vanish. Days bleed into nights, but the ache for recognition remains unquenched, replaced only by growing resentment. One evening, drenched in rain and exhaustion, he wanders the empty streets, the city's hum a cruel reminder of all he is not. The cold bites through his soaked clothes, but a fiercer chill stings deeper, the sting of betrayal. Pushed and shoved to the back, he begins to question his worth. The world, he realizes, does not reward effort or good intentions. It is a game of power, strategy, and relentless action. The truth, unforgiving and raw, makes his skin crawl. His thoughts twist and turn. What if everything he was taught about fairness, kindness, and patience was a lie crafted for the naive? What if the lambs do not survive in a world run by wolves? The answer is there, in the shadows of every corner office, in the slick smiles of those who rise without remorse. It is then that something shifts inside him. A cold clarity replaces confusion. He is no longer just a player. He must become a strategist. The first pillar of new power forms in his mind, not emotion, but calculation. Observing quietly, gathering secrets hidden in plain sight. The faces around him are chess pieces, each with motives wrapped in lies, each move predictable if seen with the right eyes. He recalls moments of rage where words betrayed him, times fear stilled his steps, instances where reaction ruined potential. Each was a surrender of power. To win, he must stop playing by rules set for others. Emotions become rust to scrape away, distractions that thin the blade of intention. Now he watches in silence, cataloguing rival weaknesses, alliances born of convenience, fractures in the armor of those around him. Patience is no longer waiting but deliberate watching, like a predator poised to strike. The game is ruthless, but so must he be. This is no sudden transformation, but the birth of a new mind. The world demands strategy, and he is learning to think 3 moves ahead. Every gesture, every word, every hesitation is data. He does not react. He reacts coldly, deliberately. The lamb fades, the strategist awakens. Outside, rain begins again, tapping like a grim metronome on the window pane. The battle has only just begun. He spends the following days steeped in silence, not the silence of surrender, but the silence of calculation, where once his impulses spiked like wildfire, now they simmer low, controlled and measured. The office becomes his arena, but he no longer plays the pawn. He watches, learns, and waits. A meeting erupts in heated accusations. The old him would have shouted back, fuel spilling like poison, but now he remains still, eyes sharp, noting every facial twitch, every faltering word. His mind assembles the puzzle pieces others scattered in haste and emotion. He's seen how power dances just beneath the surface, in whispered agreements, half smiles hiding daggers. Days turn into weeks of this patient observation. His notes grow thick with names, alliances, weaknesses. He charts the office politics like a general mapping the battlefield, timing, leverage, motive. He sees the patterns others miss, who claims virtue but craves control, who smiles with envy behind closed doors, who fears exposure. With every revelation, his resolve hardens. He guards his emotions like a fortress. Anger is a consuming fire without direction, fear a cage with invisible bars. The strategist's first rule echoes in his mind: master your own mind, or be mastered by it. When jealousy seeps in, he turns it into fuel. When anxiety claws, he lets logic snuff it out. This cold precision is his new strength. The people around him reveal themselves without knowing. Loose words, careless actions, the very weaknesses that once made him vulnerable are now weapons he quietly stores for the right moment. He stops sharing his plans, keeps secrets close. Mystery becomes armor, unpredictability his shield. He learns patience is not weakness, but weaponry. He waits for the perfect moment, the crack in the enemy's shield, the hesitation in their attack, not to react blindly, but to strike with surgical precision. The day will come when minimal effort yields maximal impact, and he plans meticulously to make sure it does. He trains his gaze to see 3 moves ahead, anticipating the ripple effects of every choice. He does not pretend to perfection. Failures will come, but each mistake is data, each setback a lesson. Emotional turmoil, self-pity, excuses, all belong to the past. Now only cold analysis and unwavering focus remain. He watches a rival stumble in a public blunder. Instead of gloating, he silently catalogues the consequences, observing how reputations are won and lost like currency. He refines his own public face, consistent, calm, trustworthy. Every small promise kept is a silent brick in the fortress of his reputation, every word measured to build the persona he chooses to show. One afternoon, an attack lands. A colleague plots to undermine him. The old him would have retaliated hastily, but now he weighs the threat, calculates its true cost, and chooses inaction. Sometimes the greatest power is visible only in absence, in the decision to let others exhaust themselves against shadows. This transformation is no grand awakening. It is slow, deliberate, relentless. The lamb is no longer lost. The strategist has awakened, cold, patient, calculating. The game continues, but now he is no longer a mere player. He is shaping the board itself. He no longer waits in the shadows. Now he moves. The strategist's silent observations have forged the heart of a warrior. Fear still churns beneath the surface, but it no longer holds him hostage. Every morning he rises before dawn, a ritual of discipline, a testament to his newfound purpose. The cold bite of early mornings sharpens his mind and body like steel forged in fire. The warrior's path is demanding and lonely, but it is the only way forward. Old habits die hard. Doubts whisper from the corners of his mind, threatening to paralyze. Yet, he acts despite the tremors within. The meeting he feared becomes the proving ground. Instead of hesitation, he speaks with quiet certainty. The words may be imperfect, but they are delivered with unshakable resolve. Action, he learns, is the antidote to fear. Each step taken, each decision made, builds a fortress of courage. Execution becomes his mantra. Too long he planned without moving. Now even imperfect action outweighs flawless intention. The warrior understands the brutal truth. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. With every small victory, a conversation faced, a risk taken, his confidence swells. He no longer waits for permission or the perfect moment. He commands his own timing. The transformation demands sacrifice. Comforts must be laid to rest, relationships re-evaluated, distractions severed. Growth requires loss, a shedding of former selves to make space for what is to come. Pain accompanies change, but it fuels rather than deters him. Each setback is a lesson, each scar a badge of progress. His resilience does not accept defeat, it adapts and strikes back. Discipline is no longer a concept, but a relentless practice. He trains not only his body, but the lurking voices in his mind, replacing self-doubt with focused intention. The warrior is not impulsive brutality, but controlled ferocity, a force of nature harnessed by unwavering will. He recognizes that real power lies in consistent, sustained effort, not bursts of fleeting inspiration. In the battlefield of everyday life, work, relationships, internal struggles, he chooses his fights with precision. Wasting energy on irrelevant skirmishes is amateurism. Every confrontation must serve a purpose. He protects his focus and reserves his strength for battles that matter, striking decisively and without hesitation. The solitude of the warrior is profound. The world does not always understand his choices and pace. Critics abound, critics who seek comfort in blame and excuses. He ignores their noise. Results speak louder than approval. His victories are silent but unmistakable. etched into the fabric of his reality. The warrior rises, no longer trapped in reaction or paralysis, but moving with fierce intention, embodying the relentless spirit required to face the chaos. This is the heart of the fight. Action born from strategy, executed with discipline, fueled by courage. The journey grows harder, but the warrior now knows the price and chooses to pay it. The transformation is no longer abstract. It is lived, breathed, fought for every day. The lamb is gone. The warrior stands ready, fierce and unyielding, on the path toward the crown. His presence shifts like gravity bending light. Where once he asked for permission, now decisions flow from him with quiet inevitability. The room falls silent when he speaks, not from fear, but from recognition, an instinct older than language that knows when authority enters. His voice is measured, his movements deliberate. There is no rush, no nervousness. The warrior has become the king. People notice. They lean in when he talks, seeking approval they once withheld. Colleagues who dismissed him now defer. The transformation is invisible yet undeniable, woven into posture, tone, and the way he occupies space. His spine stays straight even under pressure. His gaze holds steady, unwavering. He has learned the language of power, and it speaks through silence as much as words. Authority is not a title but a state of being. It radiates from those who need nothing from others, who carry validation within themselves. He no longer craves recognition. He knows his worth independent of external applause. This self-sufficiency becomes armor, invisible yet impenetrable. When you need nothing, paradoxically, everything comes. Control shifts from the external to the internal. In every interaction, someone defines reality, the frame through which events are interpreted. He has learned to hold his frame with unshakable conviction. When challenged, he does not flinch or justify. His reality remains firm, and others bend to it. A colleague criticizes him publicly. Instead of defensiveness, he offers calm acknowledgement and moves forward, unbothered. The frame stays his, yet power demands decisions that test the soul. A subordinate betrays him, leaking information to a rival. The old self would have raged or spiraled into self-pity. The king responds with cold precision. No anger, no theatrics, just swift, methodical consequences. The betrayer is removed from opportunity, access revoked, influence severed. The message is clear without a single raised voice. Disloyalty is costly, but punishment alone does not build kingdoms. The king learns strategic generosity. He elevates those who prove loyal, shares credit selectively, invests in relationships that yield long-term returns. His generosity is calculated, not careless. He helps those who can help back, who will remember, who will stand when the next storm comes. Loyalty becomes currency more valuable than gold. A moral crossroads appears. Power can control, or it can create order. The temptation to dominate for domination's sake whispers seductively. Yet he recognizes the hollowness of tyranny. Control born from fear crumbles eventually. Instead, he chooses purpose. His authority serves something greater, vision, structure, a world reshaped by deliberate intent. He commands not for ego, but for execution of that vision. The loneliness of leadership settles like winter fog. Fewer understand his choices now. Distance grows between him and those who remain unchanged. Friendships fade, replaced by respect and calculated alliances. The solitude is sharp but necessary. Kings cannot afford the luxury of being common. Proximity breeds contempt. Mystery breeds reverence. He regulates his presence carefully, not always available, not immediately responsive. His attention becomes a reward, not a given. Scarcity creates value. Abundance breeds disregard. When he appears, he is fully present, undivided focus that makes the moment unforgettable. This intensity marks people more deeply than constant diluted contact ever could. His voice has changed too. Slower now, with weight behind each word, he no longer fills silence with nervous chatter. Pauses become powerful tools. He speaks less and listens more, observing what others reveal in their rush to fill the void. When he does speak, the room listens. Economy of words amplifies impact. yet doubt creeps in during quiet moments. Is this power or performance? Has he become the person he needed to be, or merely a colder version of who he was? The question lingers without easy answer, but he understands now. Transformation requires sacrifice, and not all losses can be mourned. The lamb had to die for the king to live. He reflects on legacy, not the immediate victories, but what remains when he is gone. His decisions now consider longer horizons. Trivial battles lose their appeal. Principles gain weight. He acts not just for today, but for a future he will build brick by disciplined brick. The crown is not placed by others. It is claimed through relentless self-mastery. The king rules first over himself, his impulses, his fears, his weaknesses. External authority flows naturally from internal dominion. When you command yourself completely, others follow instinctively. This is the essence of kingship: presence that commands without demanding, authority earned through competence and self-sufficiency, power wielded with purpose beyond self. The strategist's mind, the warrior's heart, and now the king's authority, three pillars merging into singular force. The transformation is nearly complete, but the final test still waits. He stands at the summit, but the view is shadowed by a final test. The echo of his former self, embodied in a rival who still clings to ideals and rage. The clash is not physical, but existential, a battle of truths. The old him, filled with defiance and fury, confronts the new. Words are weapons, silence a shield, yet power is more than dominance. It is mastery over oneself. He sees the duality within, the lamb he once was, the strategist who sees clearly, the warrior who acts boldly, and now the king who commands with quiet strength. The true kingdom is internal. Control over impulse becomes his greatest victory. He understands that to reign he must first bow to discipline, to purpose, and to the relentless pursuit of self-awareness. Ego, the ancient enemy, must be tamed. Humility is not weakness, but the ground from which true strength springs. The conversation ends with no dramatic final blow. Instead, a calm acceptance, the power to choose who he is in every moment, to lead not from fear or approval, but from something deeper, the unshakable foundation of self-possession. In solitude, he contemplates the path that brought him here, the sacrifices, the battles lost and won, the relentless forging of mind and spirit. He accepts the loneliness, knowing it is the price of sovereignty. To be a king is to carry the weight of all decisions without complaint. His legacy will not be written in accolades or fleeting praise. It is etched in the lives transformed by his example, the order created from chaos, the silent authority that shapes destiny. Power is not given. It is claimed by those willing to command their own shadows. This final transformation is the fusion of all: thought, action, presence. The lamb is dead. The strategist sharpens, the warrior presses forward, and the king ascends. The journey never ends. Excellence is not a destination, but a constant becoming. The king knows this and walks forward, unafraid. The world belongs to those who dare to own it.